The Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500, as you can see, we're tracking back in. This right here is your previous all-time high here on the Nasdaq futures. And you can see today we came right into that and we're kind of rejecting not that pretty here on the 4 hour. Now, what I will say is this came in later on the day, on some bond auction news, and you saw some movement in the dollar and the yield market. Now, also too, in the after hours, you're not getting any help because Tesla just missed their earnings. And I did just put this on Twitter, so I recommend checking that out just so you can see. You missed on the EPS and on revenue. The call usually is where things get the ugliest. It's important to also know typically Tesla does well into earnings, and then after earnings, based on our data here from Edgeful, you typically see that decline. Now, again, going back into the market, I think it's really important that we just identify a few things. Number one, QQQ did just create its, highest close ever once again. So the Nasdaq still very strong, even despite this, no matter what anyone says. You close the day green once again. There was no real big sell-off, okay? You had a nice push. That is what it is. SPY, once again, you're trying to hold this area right here. You can see your previous all-time high as well. Now, important to realize what constitutes an uptrend, right? We go to like the 2 hour chart. We identify it here, making higher highs and higher lows. So again, I encourage users to take a step back from the 5 minute, 3 minute, 15 minute charts and zoom out, because as you can see, this was more consolidation basically from like the middle of December into basically middle of January. And then we broke out of this when everyone was kind of freaking out and panicking. So again, when we zoom back in, you can still see you're still creating that structure that you really want to see. The breakout, the retest right now, and hopefully some continuation into tomorrow with more of the earnings that are at hand here. But next week, we know that's when the big data comes out and also bigger and better earnings. So a few things that I do want to say, again, earnings are dictating the movement every single day here. That's going to be one of the biggest focal points. So as long as, we come out yesterday with great Netflix earnings, we open up today very strong. As you go into the end of the day, you do expect the heat to kind of slow down. You don't expect to just keep rallying and rallying and rallying, right? You have more expectations of earnings. And then Tesla came out. I anticipated a miss. You missed. Now, the call will be very interesting because Musk has made some really crazy comments. If you don't recall, he did say he tweeted this out on Twitter, so go read it. He doesn't see the point in growing the company if he doesn't even own at least 25% of the company, or at least the AI growth. So that's like crazy when he claims that Tesla is an AI company. Again, not my words, Elon's words. So that's really important, and I'm going to be paying close attention to Tesla here in the after hours. Now, I will say, I have to ask you to do two things. Consider liking and subscribing, helps out tons. But as we look at the next action that's taking place, again, we have to wait and be prepared for the earnings that are at hand. We're going to go over the earnings that are coming out tomorrow as well. So again, these are all the earnings for this week. You can see that we had IBM today and Tesla. Those were your biggest on the day. Tomorrow we have Intel out in the after hours, and I believe, that's the big boy. So that's going to be it tomorrow. Okay. And then again, next week we have all the really big ones. So that's going to be the most important thing going into next week. And then also next Wednesday is FOMC as well. So going back into the chart, let's go over a few things. Now, SPY, what you want to see for continuation, it's super simple. Holding back above 385.25. The end. That's all you really care about. But again, I don't think we're going to see as good as movement tomorrow as we did today. It just wouldn't make as much sense, especially with the earnings that came out and how they're moving right now. Just wouldn't make that much sense. I do see some type of either consolidation in this range here. That's what would make the most sense. But something that is important that we need to highlight is when you get the consolidation like we did at this level, you go back to like the daily time frame. Let's actually go to the 2 hours so you can see, or even the 4 hours so it's really clear. You're clearly basing in this level here, right? You're clearly forming a demand zone down here now, right? The 2 hour, I think, paints the best picture because you can now see this is clearly a demand. So this is going to operate as a support, right? ES might even be easier to really see here. You go to the ES, you go to the 4 hour, you can really see how this level has developed. So again, if you're tracking the after hours, that's what I'd be watching, starting at around 48.85, going down to around 48.75. That's going to be your now support. You did have this key level as well at around 48.90, and you're still trying to hold that. So that's telling you something as well. Buyers are being resilient. This is a good sign. Okay, so these are things that you're looking for, right? Now, again, I want to say this. You can be looking for consolidation, and that's what I'm really looking at right now. I don't think we're just going to cut through this like butter, but what I will say is if this level gets invalidated and we start to break below this level here, this is what you should be looking for, under 48.75. I would anticipate if this level breaks that you get some sort of retest and you start pushing back down towards 48.42. That would be my assumption. Your previous swing high right here established in December. That's your December high. So that's what I would be looking for there. You have a little bit of consolidation there, but I'm not too worried about that either. So again, this is the key level you're watching for support, the bottom area of that demand zone. If it wicks out of it, it'll be invalidated. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter, so make sure you check that out. The link is down below. Now we'll go back into Edgeful. What I do want to cover really quick is what's happening here on volume. And I do think volume will get a little bit of an uptick going into tomorrow. Now specifically on SPY, because this is what everyone's most interested in. When we look at SPY and what's happening most of the time with volume, you can see we typically uptick throughout the week going into Thursday and Friday, with Friday usually being some of the most volume you get. You know, I also don't love trading on Fridays because it's just so back and forth, and it typically doesn't get the best continuation. So when we look at that, that is an area of concern. I will also say, when we go really quick into green and red days by the weekday, Thursdays typically are green 57% over the past year as well. So again, Wednesday, Tuesday were our, you know, days we had to worry the most about. That's worth considering and worth watching. So again, what I'm going to be looking at as well. And you can also see the peak usually where that kind of comes out. Wednesday typically is not the peak, right? Worth mentioning. So Wednesday, very interesting to see. So we usually get a little bit of more of a push through to the upside into the end of the week, leading into Friday, worth mentioning. So again, Thursday, keep your head on a swivel. Friday, we'll see a lot of how this volume plays out. And Edgeful, you can check them out. The link is down below. You also get like a 7-day free trial, I believe, with that link down below. So make sure you check it out. Okay, going back here. What I'm going to be looking at specifically with equities. Again, I always say this. When you don't have a trade, there's no reason to get too aggressive. There's no reason to force trades. Now, I think tomorrow, this is going to be a rule of thumb. Okay, unless we just start bouncing in the pre-market. And I could be wrong. Maybe the Tesla call goes really good, because I'm making this before the Tesla call goes through. So the Tesla call with Elon and them will go through later. I'll have some updates on Twitter for that as well, so the link will be down below. But maybe that goes through, okay? It's possible. But what I will say is right now, outside looking in, I anticipate probably doing a little less trading tomorrow. It just makes the most sense for me to sit more on my hands as this action progresses, and waiting at least until Friday, where we have a bulk of that decision usually happening if we're going to get a little bit of a reversal from this swing down. But like I said, if ES breaks below that support, I'll probably just trade the downside, and that's going to be the best opportunity. So right now, you need to make sure and see if buyers are going to hold this level. And if they do hold the level, then you're really waiting for that momentum into the end of the day Thursday and into Friday. And again, Intel reports this could be good for chips as well, which does set up for the rebound. So that's how I'm looking at this, how I'm approaching this. But let's go over equities. Meta, what a great day for Meta. Took some profits for sure on this one, some of my long-term swings. But yeah, you came into like 396, so congratulations. You know, I said on Twitter, I posted about this one a lot. It was my top stock. It still kind of is going into earnings. You got really close to 400. Can't be upset there. But again, what you're looking for here on Meta is, can you mount this previous high as well, right? As long as you're mounting these previous highs, you're really bullish, okay? To get below this, I don't like the range. I'd have to be patient. Yeah, I'd be looking for probably a retest back at 384. Personal opinion there. NVIDIA, I told you guys yesterday, look, you see how I drew this, a break, a retest. Well, if I go to the 5-minute here, look what happened here on NVIDIA. Congratulations if you caught this. You broke out at open, you retested 600, and then you slingshot to the moon. Like literally went up $25 over the course of the day. Almost 30. So congratulations if you caught NVIDIA. Great trade there. But yeah, as long as it's above 600, I'm still really bullish. But again, you're really looking for those mounts, and I don't love how this is forming out here. I would love to see you mount back above 620. That's what I'd be looking for there. AMD is a little bit more interesting with how you moved here. Near the end of the day, you had a little bit of a pattern forming out there, but it didn't really love it. But what you do love here on AMD is how you got above 174.7. We mentioned this all morning long in Discord. You mounted above that and you ran into 180. Now AMD looks really bullish in my opinion. It still looks incredibly strong, like it's really undervalued in my opinion here. And again, so what I'm looking for there is to get back above 180, but you're still holding above most of your levels as well. The big level you're watching for too is to hold above 176.5. As long as you hold there, you're really bullish, and you held that VWAP into the end of the day. Again, another really bullish sign. Going into Tesla, I know a lot of you guys are gonna have questions on it. Tesla, like I've been saying for days, if not, a few weeks now, probably one of the most bearish names out there. Also too, if you're interested in all these indicators that I have, everything in between, again, chart Chart Prime, the link is down below. You get access to all these with that link and the custom scripts that we're writing for ourselves. They have a lot of them that I don't even use. So you can even go back with the back tester. You can go back through with the Market Dynamics Oracle Pro, anything like that with a lot of oscillators. For a lot of you guys like the RSI and stuff, I don't use those, but Chart Prime has some custom scripts for those. Those are pretty crazy and cool. But as we look at Tesla here, right, go back to the 2 hour. What you're looking for here is getting below the 200 SMA here on the weekly. You see how you're breaking below it. You've been holding below it. Now, what do we know? Until you mount that level, that's the only time you go long and get on Teslas, once you break and retest that level. You can see multiple cases where you break and retest and have all that opportunity. But when you're below this, you are the most bearish and vulnerable as a stock. So that's what I'm looking for here. I personally believe, especially under 206, Tesla could easily run back down towards 190, maybe even the low 180s once again. You know, we get back into this territory back here. You know, 194 seems possible, honestly, tomorrow if this call goes terrible. But again, look how illiquid these areas have become. You can move back down to 178, and I'm telling you, this thing will move quick, especially if things go bad on the call. And I'm really, really concerned about that personally. Amazon, what you wanted to see today was a hold back above 157. You could not get the hold. You had a nice push back into resistance, but you just could not get the love that you needed there. Microsoft as well, you mounted that $400 level. Beautiful break and retest of highs. You had the opportunity there at open, break, retest, run into 405 essentially. And that was the move there. Congratulations if you caught that one. Really great play. Going a little bit deeper as well, trying to see if any names that I maybe have forgotten. Meta, Tesla, went over all these. Snow, really interesting. Cloud, I keep saying these names over and over. So going into Snow, something like this, again, this was your previous level. So let me go out to like the 1 day so you can see a little bit more clear. And let's get rid of this bottom indicator. I love using the volume only for day trading though. I don't like using it for like back data. So when you zoom back out and you look here, you see how you're forming in this little bit of a triangle or this rectangle, right? Just formed out there. Well, this is your high here, 198 to like 202, right? You can see all the resistances there. And look at this little bit of a level. Now, what you're getting is a break and a retest of this level, potentially. That's what you really wanted to see. Now, the reaction, again, is going to be key. So if you start to bounce out of this level, get back above like 206, 205, in my opinion, it does become a long back into 220, potentially even like 233, which was the big target that we have marked out next. CrowdStrike, the rest of these cloud names, I'm telling you, they're incredibly, incredibly bullish. I said crowd yesterday. You had the bull flag. You broke above. Again, perfect what you wanted to see. The break and retest. Again, you broke, retested, you ran into like 308, another $8 of upside. CRM, this might be the value play. Now they dropped today. This was not good. So you came to your key level around 284. If you can hold 284, I think you go to all-time highs. So you're getting rejected so far. What I'm watching for is how you react to these previous highs here now. And that's where you're kind of coming into here in the, after hours, right? So how do you respond on here? You had a really good bounce this morning, but then obviously you're coming back down. Now, this was actually the end of the day yesterday, and then bounced this morning back into 281. So how do you respond here? The response is going to be the opportunity. And I say this over and over again, but focus on the opportunities, not on the things that you're missing out on or not the things you're feeling pressured to enter into. I'm going to go over a few option plays as well here in a second, but I just want to harp on that as much as possible. Stop overextending yourself. Stop, getting emotional about your trades. If you ever feel emotional about getting into a trade or feeling like you're going to miss out or something, that's the time you need to step away, turn your computer off, and probably even run. Like, that's really what it comes down to. So right now, again, you had a parabolic move to the upside. Now, again, you have to be patient once again. You had the breakout. You had the Netflix earnings. We said things could get spicy from there, and things did. And I don't think this is the end here, right? Next Thursday is like Armageddon Day. You have Apple, I think Amazon, Meta, all on the same day. And I think even Microsoft. That's probably the biggest stocks in the world right now. And they're all reporting on next Thursday. So again, you're going to have big opportunity days. You have FOMC, the Fed meeting, next Wednesday as well. These are all big opportunities, and they're going to set the tone for the market. So there's no reason to get crazy or start overextending. Just remember that. All right, guys, shout out to Options AI. Again, this is the broker that we're sponsored by here on the channel. Love what they're doing. They're focused solely on options. Now, again, when you're looking at like going into some of these, like I'm just going to keep going over some of the names that we've been covering a lot here. Now, specifically like on Meta, giving you some vids. You guys love seeing the option plays as well. So I just want to give them the plays for you so you can see. If I'm going long on anything on Meta, I'm at least going for February 16th. The plays that I've been like repeating and just trying to like go after have been like the 400s, and these have just moved really well, right? And so they give you a better perspective of how, but they're just like expensive. So I'm sorry, but it's because you have earnings as well. That's kind of the problem you're facing as we speak. But you can look at something like Netflix now, just to give you a visual. And I think Netflix, honestly, the market bounces. Again, you're going to hate it, but again, it's probably becoming one of my top stocks once again into 570. I forgot to cover that on the chart, but this is one of those other plays that I think really can give you a lot of potential. Netflix is something too that you like to go out of the money on. So again, you can start hedging different positions, short Boeing, short Tesla, long Netflix. So again, long the strong names, short the weak ones. So again, when I look at something like Meta, I like something like the 570s. Again, showing you why I like Netflix so much. Again, go to the weekly, look at this chart. So this was 2021, 2020, and I have to get out of here really quick. So again, your lows 470, highs are 570. That's going to be your target. It's going to be like a magnet, and it also has a chart prime liquidity level there as well. So I do think there's a high possibility we test that. If I was going to be going short, again, Boeing, Tesla, what I like the most, especially if this earning call goes bad and the momentum's to the downside now on Tesla, I think Tesla puts will be the play personally versus everything else. But again, check my Twitter for more updates on that. Now, personally, you're not going to get the best viewpoint of these because they're still going to be inflated from earnings right now. But what I'd be looking at really on here, a little bit dated, aiming towards 185, 190. You don't want to go too out of the money on Tesla just because sometimes it'll just destroy your contracts with the way Tesla has been moving. But still, even the 190s were pretty cheap, all things considered. Still almost not even a month out, like 3 weeks out right now. That's how I'm viewing it. That's what I'm looking at. If you have questions, comment down below. See you guys tomorrow.